Welcome everyone to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained. I am Dan Bloodworth, and as you can tell by the graphics, I'm going to be talking a little bit about basic fantasy RPG, and in particular solo play RPG. And I'm going to show you some preparations that I've done for that solo play RPG. Now, first thing I want to do, before introducing you and showing you to the game a little bit is I wanted to give a shout out to a fellow YouTuber who has a phenomenal channel that, after you've subscribed here, you should definitely go over and subscribe to his channel. And that channel is Artichoke Dip. Now, what Robert does over at Artichoke Dip is he spends all of his time on focusing on solo RPG and using an emulator, which I'm going to show you, and some other techniques. So, when you watch his videos, I mean, the amount of information, and advice that he gives is absolutely phenomenal, and it is the big inspiration for what I'm going to show you today. So, once again, after you've watched this video, make sure that you look up Artichoke Dip and you go over there. He also has a Facebook group, essentially the same name, Artichoke Dip, RPG group. And you can, go over there and take a look at what he's doing over there. So, one of the game systems that he uses primarily, I believe, is basic fantasy, and so I wanted to preview that a little bit with you. So I have a lot of moving parts, to show this time around. I'm trying a few new things, so hopefully it runs, smoothly, because I'm still rolling this out to you, as unscripted and unchained as, I typically do. So let's show you the game real fast. So this is basic fantasy role-playing, and it's a single volume. I have, currently in its third edition, and I'm going to show you I'll show you a close-up of it on another view. I'll show you the PDF and just scroll through it, kind of quickly and go over some of the mechanics of it. So, single volume has everything that you need to play the game, and it's $5 for the, I believe it was $5 for the hardcover. So for the book itself, actually it's a soft cover. So so for the physical copy, or you can get the PDF for free, and I'll show you where you can go to do that as well. So you really can't beat it, and it's all of the game rules. So from character creation to GMing the game to a monster manual, and then there's other supplements as well. So if you're interested in taking a look at this game, I have a link in the comments section for this video where you can access to Drive-Thru RPG, and you can directly buy it through that. Now, I am an affiliate of Drive-Thru RPG, so if you do buy it through the link that I provide, I will get a couple pennies or something like that, which I'll use to purchase more games to show you more on my video. So I'm certainly not looking to make any kind of real money from that. I just like the opportunity to provide a direct link for my viewers to go to take a look at some of these games if you wish to. So here's the book, here's the game for basic fantasy. The other book that Robert had recommended was Mythic Game Master Emulator, and so basically what this does is it uses a chart, a fate chart, that kind of randomizes the experience. So, and you ask questions as you're going through. Is this, what's the odds of this particular task? Are the odds impossible? And then it gives you the chart you cross-reference and see what's the chaos ranking of it. And then it'll tell you what's the probability of having a success or a, catastrophic failure. And then it goes from impossible all the way to it has to be. So if there's a situation that just has to be, then the chances of it failing are very, very small. But and the chances of having a moderate effect is practically 100%. So and then everything in between. So this booklet here, gave a lot of ideas. That allowed me to look at it and to think, well, you know what? Now that I've gotten, learned some tips from this, I could probably set it aside and just modify it mentally and do some things, on the side, using this as just like a core of it, but making it my own. So that's the second book. So combined, I mean, less than $15 to purchase. Well, actually, probably less than $20 to purchase both books. But you can get them both in PDF for either free or a lot cheaper than what I spent to have the physical copies. Next view I'm going to go is I'm going to show you a few things on the internet that will help you out in navigating this. So I'm going to switch views and then I'll talk you through each of the sites that I'm discussing. So one of the things that you'll see here is the first panel that I brought up is the basic fantasy. This is the website, and this is the tools section of the home site. So if you go to the home, you'll see all of this information here, and so news and what does it cost to buy the game and so on. Just basic information about the game. If you go to tools now here's a variety of tools from NPC Adventure Party Generator to NPC Bandits and Pirate Generator, Single NPC Generator, Treasure Generator, Dungeon Room Generator. I really like this Dungeon Room Generator to just get a very basic idea. So I can say that I'm going to produce 7 rooms and leave it as a level 1 dungeon, and then you just hit first room number 1, I guess. And now it breaks it down and shows you, all right, so the first room is going to have 6 orcs, and it stats them out and lists their hit points and then the treasure. Second room is a spitting car. All right, and third room, as you can see, is a human cleric is in this third room. A elven cleric is in this third room. A halfling fighter is here. A halfling fighter, second halfling fighter, a dwarven thief is in this room. 4 or 7 wolves. Room 5 is 10 skeletons. Room 6 is 8 orcs. Kind of tough for a first level adventure. But it's hard to know what's going on with these characters. This room 3 and these. Perhaps these are a group that you're going in to rescue, and so now they join the party for the escape, and you can bring them here. But you don't have to stick to this 100%. You can use parts of it that you wish to use. I'm going to go back. The other thing I like about is the NPC Adventure Party Generator, and again you can select the level. I'm just going to hit 1, and it gives you an idea. You might choose to do this. If it's a one shot and you're solo playing, you might choose hey, you know what? I'm going to see what it randomly gives me, and I'm going to run these characters through a random adventure that I'm going to run. can see it gives you a halfling cleric. They tend to go kind of cleric, but here you have 2 thieves, you have 2 clerics, and a fighter. And every time you hit this, it will automatically, change it up. So you take 1 or 2 characters from each randomizer and create a party that is kind of interesting, and it takes some of the guessing work out of making games as well. So very useful. Now there's some map graphics which I haven't really messed around with too much. There's a dungeon room generator. I showed you that already. So there's several other things that are here. So this is the basic. This is the PDF now. So this is the basic fantasy role-playing game PDF, which you can pull off that same website, and so you can actually take a look at it. You can have access to it for free, and you can print this out. And it's a very simple, kind of going back to the original Dungeons and Dragons, game. Only difference. One of the differences from that is that you have 4 playable races and 4 playable character classes, whereas in the original Dungeons and Dragons, elf and dwarf and halfling were classes themselves, and then there was human fighter, human cleric, and and so on, human magic user, so or thief or whatever. So we have the races here. They have dwarves, elves, halflings, humans. All right, and then the character classes and such. So I'm going to switch over to different view. So that's basically the books. So now the next thing I wanted to show you, and this really goes to what Robert was doing with the solo RPG part. So let's see, we're going to go to, I'm looking for which view I want to go to. So back to this desktop view. Now, one thing I was thinking of was that if we're going to do if I'm going to do a solo RPG and set it up the way that he was doing it, I needed a playing surface. And so that's where I pick this up. This you can get on Amazon. I believe it's a Paizo product. It was $20, just about $21 for it, and unpacking it, I'll show you. It comes in a box. Let's see if I can get this right. So it comes in a box, just like some of the old box sets, in the past. And I just toss it there. I took actually the components out of it. It comes with the surface that you can use dry erase markers on. It comes with a set of markers. It comes with a marker, an eraser for the game surface, and it comes with a set of dice, charcoal colored dice, which I actually, I already have these, and I had them from a different set, and they're kind of my favorite dice to use anyway. So I haven't tested these out yet. The board itself is fairly large, so it's a 27 by 23 board, and it's very heavy-duty cardboard, laminated, obviously, and it's you have both surfaces. So you have I'm kind of struggling with this. You have hexes on one side, and you have the squares on the other. All right, and on this side here, you can see there's a compass rose, and so you can mark in, write in the directions that you want to do. So one of the other things that I thought that I should get as well is because I do have some lead figures, none of them painted, and I was thinking, well, I want to go a a way that, I can do this much cheaper. And so one of the other things I picked up from Amazon was these little, these small, I'll put them here. They're small stands, and these are the 1-inch ones. And so you can see that when they're finished. I'll show it up here. So you can see it's just 2 pieces of plastic. You have to glue them together. It has a 1-inch base, so on the board it fits quite easily into the 1-inch square. And then you can go to Pinterest and print out characters. So this is a goblin set, and you're supposed to print it out, cut them out, and then fold them over so they'll all fit into these slots. I have here an Elven Ranger, and so I just slip this in here, and now I have my Elven Ranger character that can go. So I picked up this set, was 5 in a set, and so I have my player party. All right, so now I have my player party, and I'm going to put the board over onto this other setup that I have, and this is where I get a little nutty. At least some might consider that. I'm a big fan of getting trifold presentation boards, and then using them for my RPG playing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this board and I'm going to set it up over here, and I'm going to show you what I've done with a trifold board, so that you can see how this really works out pretty well. So once I get this set up, now I'm going to bring the camera view and try to shift this camera view over to, I don't know if I can actually get it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over first, and that way you don't get too messed up with watching all this movement go on. And let me see how this is going to work. So you're kind of my guinea pigs here. Actually, I can see it. I can almost see it. I don't know what it's even looking at. Alright, well, I'm going to hand cam this. Alright, so let's go over to this view. Alright, sorry about the rapid movement. And I'll put a couple characters out on here. Let's see. So what I did here is, I know it's zoomed out like super far. Let's see how I can get this a good view. It's crazy. Well, I should have really thought this out better. But what I basically did was I took a 48 by 30 trifold board and created the base for what I'm looking to do here. So I have my playing surface here, and that leaves enough room that I can put the random encounter sheets on the other side, and then the fate chart and the other. You can see the fate chart and the other. So there's enough room to have 4 sheets total, and then or if they were landscaped, you could actually put 6 sheets total onto that onto that display. So let me bring this back over and get this here and see that we're set up. So now the other thing that I ended up with, because I cut it to size, And so I was still able to manage to get another section of, this trifold board. And this is actually large enough and still wide enough, even after I've cut it, to fit a total of 4 more panels. And I used the transparent sleeves that you can get from Staples to put a single sheet into it. And so with the little sticky squares, you can actually mount them in here. And basically you have a very versatile, small DM's shield, and you can change in and out, exchange different sleeves if you wish. So you can change it up for different games. So one thing that I noticed with both the emulator and something that Artichoke Dip was doing with the gameplay, and I really should have practiced out showing a decent view of the game board, was that there is no randomizer in the emulator for the actual map. And that's one thing that I really wanted to focus on, was to do that. That way, when I put my characters on the board and I start, thinking about, all right, well, what are they going to do here? What are they here for? And then, well, now let me randomize, what is the entrance type that they're encountering here? How are they starting off on this adventure? So now let's say they start off in a hallway. All right, so now you're in a hallway. Well, let's randomize how long that hallway is. And so now I, roll a die. I could say, well, you know what? I want this hallway to be anywhere from 10 to 40 feet. And so I roll the dice. All right. I use the fate chart. I says, well, what's the likelihood that this entire hallway is uniform? So it's always 10 feet wide. It's 40 feet long. It has no narrow sections. Well, maybe I want some narrow sections, so I can roll it and I can see, all right, well, now it's going to have a narrow piece here that's only 5 by 5. And so now my characters have to go single file to go through that. They get to the end of the 40 feet. All right, now what happens at the end of that 40 feet? Well, I can go to another chart that I've created and roll the dice and see, is there a door? Is there a turn? Is there a room that it opens out into? All right, what's in that room? That's where I can go to those random encounters and see. And so the whole experience that I'm looking to produce is something that, yes, I know the characters. Yes, I have the, I kind of know what they're going to face as level 1 in that, in that environment. I can always, I can veto, a randomized roll, because it just doesn't make sense to be in that particular locale. But in the end, I'm kind of like the player characters are. I'm discovering the map as they are. So it's not predetermined. That what the map will look like, and then the dimensions of the board and everything. Obviously, that's going to dictate if it's saying, well, this hallway is going to turn left and there's no room left in that direction, then you can just modify it. Or you can have it kind of do a little fish hook around and then go below the previous level. And then when it comes out on the other side, now you're on a different plane, and so you can continue drawing the map out as you're randomizing along the way. Going back to that tool that was on the basic fantasy, I can still keep it set to the 7 rooms. So now once I've randomly generated 7 rooms in this encounter, I can say, all right, well, this final room is that final, that final encounter that I was looking to do. Or maybe they didn't discover, what they were supposed to do, and the players have to go back, or in this case it's solo, you know, so I'd have to determine, well, what would the characters do? Go back to the fate chart. You know, would they start searching for a secret door? What is the likelihood of a secret door being here? All right, they've done their checks and they've discovered a secret door, and now that opens up into another, you know, another section. All right, and then you can wipe out a portion of the board, you know, wipe out the entire board and have them go to level 2 of the, you know, of the adventure, and they can continue that way. So the whole experience is randomized for the, you know, and there's a sense of discovery for the solo DM, you know, of this experience, and so that's the one component I really wanted to add into it. Going to this view again, and I'll bring it up. I mean, this is something that I was working on. I'm not sure if you'll be able to actually read it, but I'll just make it larger. So these are the, you know, these are some of the variables that I was thinking of that, you know, any kind of a, you know, a random dungeon emulator would have to, you know, include is the type of dungeon. So what's the, you know, is it a mine? Is it a, you know, is it a marble finished, you know, mausoleum? Is it a natural cavern system? The entry types, anytime that the player characters come across an entry, it would have the entry types, number of exits or branches off a passageway. And you can do something like a single dice roll, you know, of a D4, and say, well, there'll be, you know, a roll of a 2 or a 3 would be two exits from this particular place. A 1 would be 0, which means that they kind of came into a dead end, you know, and a 4 might be 3, which is, it's usually kind of rare for a room to have 3 different exits coming out. Or again, you can choose, well, you know what, but I want there to be 2 in here, or I want this to be a dead end room. And so you can, you know, veto it as the GM of your own game. The number of directions, you know, so what direction that goes into, the passageway length and features, the room changes or directions, room entry type again when you come to it, room dimensions and features, so you can randomly roll the size of a room, and then the wandering monsters or challenges that the characters are going to face. And you know, so that was another, you know, that was another idea that I was thinking of, was that this is something that needs to be done. So everything that I showed you right now, from the, you know, from purchasing the books and the, you know, the mat and the, you know, the whiteboard, the trifold board and everything, and the counters, you know, so the character counters, everything was like about $60, you know. So for, you know, for about $60, and you could probably find it even cheaper than what I did. I mean, you didn't have to buy, you know, you could have gotten the free PDFs instead, and that would have saved you about $20. So, you know, it wasn't super expensive, and it wasn't, you know, it's not something, you know, I'm not exactly a crafty person, so you don't have to be a really skilled crafty person in order to, you know, do these things and put these things together. And I can guarantee you I'm going to get a lot of, you know, a lot of solo playtime, because sometimes, you know, I might have an hour or 2, and that's it. And that's not enough time to really put together an organized play online and then get a group together and then run, you know, a game session that usually runs about 3 hours, and the prep time and everything. Maybe I have 2 hours and that's it. I says, all right, let me take out my, you know, my 5 little characters here, and I'm gonna run them through a little random dungeon and see how that goes, and maybe some kind of a story will come out of it. And you know, that's something that I can put down and write down, and it'll help develop my characters, you know, from experience to experience. I can test, you know, when I'm writing an adventure, I can test out how that will play out now, on the board, and see how it can go, and then tweak the parameters of that particular scene in an adventure that I'm writing, so that I can say, all right, this really seems to be hanging up here, and so how can I tweak that? So once again, thank you for coming into the channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Recently broke the 100 mark, which was a goal that I was looking to eventually achieve, and had a sudden surge of about 7 or 8 new subscribers just within the last day or two. So that's great to see, and so make sure that you subscribe, and make sure that you hit the bell twice, so that you'll get an alert when I upload new videos. Take a look at Artichoke Dip's look at his YouTube channel, and look at his Facebook channel or Facebook group, because he's really doing some really great stuff there. Very impressive, and highly recommend it. And I look forward to seeing you on the gaming channel. And once I figure out this camera thing and getting these angles and everything right, I'll actually demonstrate using this idea, and using all of these materials, and showing you a solo RPG game session. So once again, thank you. Look forward to seeing you on the game screen sometime soon. Have a good day.